Morning everybody, fantastic to see you all again. So in this week's video I'm going to talk all about filters. It's a part of the photographer's toolkit. I wanted to show you the video from Sky, but it's so good I wanted to spend more time editing it. So I'm going to show you this video this week, and at the end of the video I'm going to give you a bit of a teaser of what next week's video is going to be. Hi everyone, fantastic to see you all again. So in this episode of the Photographer's Toolkit, what I want to do is talk all about filters. And I've made some changes myself in my filter setup recently, but it's one of the things that I get asked loads of questions about. What filters do you use? Why do you use these filters? Do you use grad filters? Do you use a polarizer? So I thought I'd put them all in one video and talk about it. Now I'm sorry there's not been a Photographer's Toolkit video for a while, but I've been traveling, running workshops, etc. But I think this is going to be a good one, so stick around. So the first thing I should say is I really don't like any filters. And that's not because I don't like the filters themselves. There's lots of manufacturers out there that make fantastic filters. But I just don't like the process of using filters. I feel like it takes away from the sort of purity of just going out and taking a shot. So if at all, the first thing I try and do is use no filters. And I've had lots of filters over the years, and I've tried lots of different filters and different ways of doing things. But recently I've come across a new set of filters that I think are just fantastic and really work well for my workflow. So I want to talk to you about those later in the video. But before I go into that, I think it's probably worth saying a little bit about my background, because it sort of is quite relevant to this conversation. So I did a PhD, the title of which was Novel Techniques for the Control of the Properties of Reactively Sputtered Thin Films. And to sum that up, it was basically coating glass. And I used to work also with the European Space Agency, and also did some work for NASA, Hughes Aircraft, and other optical manufacturing systems for spacecraft and other sort of quite sophisticated optical systems. So I feel like I know quite a bit about lens technology, coating technology and filter technology. It's what I used to design, which doesn't make me love it anymore, but it makes me fairly well placed, I think, just to understand what you need, what works and what perhaps doesn't work so well. So first of all, let's get into the why. Why do you need a filter? What is it when you're taking a photo that's going to make you need a filter? And there's three things really. So the first reason is if you're trying to equalize the exposure when there's a high dynamic range, and actually you can do this in Lightroom. The second one is you might want to reduce the shutter speed to achieve a particular effect. Third reason you'd want to use a filter is if you want to change the nature of the light getting to sensor, for example polarizing the scene. There's cows going past my end of my shed at the end of my garden where I record this. So sorry about that if you can hear some cows, but they've just been milked. Okay, so we'll continue and hopefully the cows will dissipate. Okay, so let's talk about those three filters and what scenario you might use those filters in. So first of all, let's go to a grad filter. So a grad filter is like this. So this one's on glass. And it's got a coating on it, so this coating is multi-layered coating that then creates a dark layer at the top and a lighter layer at the bottom, and you use that to if you've got high dynamic range scene where you want to control the sky and the shadow. Now the thing is with this is you can do this afterwards in Lightroom. There's no need for one of these. It's so simple to do. You take two exposures, you blend them together, and you put a graduation on in Lightroom. It's much more flexible. You can change more things than just the light. You can change the contrast and all the other things. So there is really no need to have one of these. I used to have this one, which was the Lee one. That's a Format High-Tech one. This is made from resin, as a resin plastic type material, and you drop these and they break, which is not good. So then the other type of filter is an ND filter where you just want to reduce the shutter length. And I'll just get it out of here. I've got a few of these in here, and they look a bit like this, where they are dark, and you can get different ones of these, like this, which is a 10-stop filter, which attenuates the light quite significantly, and you can get really long exposures and produce images like this with this type of filter. And then the other type is like this. This is a Lee polarizer, like this, that clips on the front of a system, and this polarizes the light. So hopefully, if I get this right, you can probably see as I turn it, then it changes the light coming through. And they tend to fit into holders like these, and these go on the front of your camera, and then you can slide one of these in and out. Quite frankly, the whole thing is a complete and utter pain in the arse. You've got all this equipment that you're trying to do just to get this shot, and by the time you've done it, the light's changed, and I just hate using things like that. Now, I really love the Format High-Tech filters because they were really good quality. You know, the neutrality of them was brilliant. You know, they're really neutral. But everyone kept saying to me I should try Kase filters, and I don't like changing things as well. I'd recommended the Format High-Tech filters to lots of people, and I was really happy with them, apart from I just didn't like using, let me get the right one, the system. In fact, what I did use was the Lee filter holder, because I felt that was better than the Format High-Tech one. So I used a concoction of different things. But then I decided that I just don't need ND grad filters. I don't need the graduation. I can do it in Lightroom, as I just mentioned. So I thought, how can I get rid of that? And I thought of using screw-on filters. But then somebody recommended Kase filters to me. And what you do is you just put on the front, you put an adapter, and then you can have these magnetic, so this is just a lens cap, the magnetic lens cap that just fits on. So that can just go in your bag, and then when you want to change to a different filter, so if I want to put a polarizing filter on, I can get my polarizing filter on, I can just get it out of the bag, and then I can just put it on like that, and then turn it. So it makes it super simple to use this filter system. And what's better, what I really love, is you can put lens cap back on there, is that the bag is tiny compared to what I used to have. Put that down there, which was all that. I used to take all that with me in my bag. Now, I take this. So it is so much better to just have that one case and that. And that's not to say that I get any better results with this. However, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the key thing is weight and just size and convenience and how simple it is to do it. It makes it much quicker to do it. So let's have a look at when I use these filters now, and I have to admit I'm using certainly my polarizing filter a lot more. So I would use a polarizing filter when I want to reduce the reflection on water. Occasionally I'd use it if there's some blue sky and I want to just darken it. I don't tend to use that a huge amount. If I'm doing maybe some black and white work, I might use that. But I use it a lot, certainly at the moment in autumn when the leaves are wet, and you just want to reduce the reflection of the light coming off the leaf. Otherwise you don't get those really dense colours. By using a polarizer you can get those dense colours, and that makes a really big difference. So you know, these images I've used a polarizer and it's made a significant difference to the actual quality of the final image, and I'm more inclined to do it now because I can do it really simply. And then with an ND filter, I'm not really one that does really long exposures. Now, I do long exposures when I think it's necessary, but I don't really like the skies that are moving like this one that I took in Yosemite. You know, I prefer the one in Yosemite like this, where there was no moving sky. I occasionally use it for water, but I find that when I put a polarizer on, it reduces the shutter speed enough, because that does attenuate the light as well as polarize it, that I don't actually have to have an ND filter as well. But if I have to, then I can easily just use the ND filter in here. There's an ND filter that just then is just a magnetic ND filter, and it just stacks on like that. So it's as simple as that. I've now got another filter on. So it's super simple to use them. And then also with these particular filters, which actually I was told about from Mass Peter Everson, was that they've got hydrophobic coating on and they're toughened. So you can drop them and they're less likely to break. And if you're anything like me, you drop filters. I've broken lots of filters in the past, but they're less likely to break because they're toughened. But they've also got this hydrophobic coating on. And what that means is they're so much easier to clean when they get splashed. And if you think about when you're likely to use a filter, it's quite often around water, whether it's raining, whether you're shooting waterfalls, whether you're shooting the sea. And if you get water on there, you want to be able to clean it with a cloth like this really easily. And you don't want it to smudge. By having a hydrophobic coating on, the water just moves off the surface really easily. It's a bit like when you wax your car and it cleans super simple. It's exactly the same. So I definitely recommend these Kase filters. I think they're brilliant. I wanted to talk a little bit more about why I changed from Format High Tech to Kase, but also if you have got Format High Tech, then there's no real need to change. You're not going to get better quality images. It just might make it a little bit easier for you to use your filters. So thanks for watching this week's video, and I've got something really special for the next few weeks, and that is from Skye and Torridon. I've been running 2 workshops here. I've had a little bit of time off to do some video as well, and I spent 2 days on the amazing beach at Elgol shooting the Cooling Mountains, and it was quite frankly the most spectacular time I've ever had in Scotland. So I'll give you a little bit of a teaser to finish this video and look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Bye.